gonna be hard to do.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because what happens is
Okay. Check 1 2, check 1 2. Can you hear me? How am I sounding? Do I sound just like normal? That would be ideal. Heck yes. Perfect. I'd love to hear it. Pluto Star, thank you so much. 2 months now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, that's extremely good news. You will be able to hear me occasionally adjusting my back on the bed here. Some fun moving around sounds, but it shouldn't be that much because the microphone is pretty directional. So, Drosim, thank you so much for the Prime sub. 4 months! My gracious, you're coming up on half a year. Which means you will soon be getting a different bear badge, which is very exciting. So I've got all the tools of the trade here. I've got all of my gouache laid out. I'm working on a pretty small desk, so we'll see how this works. Hopefully nothing falls off. Because if it does, it's lost to me. A race car bed, I wish. I always really wanted a race car bed when I was little. I definitely wouldn't be able to fit in one now, but the dream is still there. As for what we're drawing today, I'm not really sure. I spent most of my day getting my setup ready, getting all of my stuff reconfigured from my main computer to my laptop computer, and thankfully I had this laptop laying around. It's a really good laptop from a few years ago, and it was extremely good then. And it's still very good now, which is good news for me. So it seems like it can handle, it's more than capable of handling streaming, which is great. But as for what we're drawing, I think the only major difference, honestly, with this setup is I don't have my dual monitors, so I don't have that real estate anymore. So my monitor is filled up with all of the stream stuff. So I'm going to have to pull up, probably on my phone, a reference image and just look off of there, which isn't a huge deal. And in fact, actually, I'm going to set that up now. Plugging in my plug. That sounds wild to say, but I have this external like power bank where I plug in all of my USB stuff. So I'm going to get that set up now so I can have my phone charging while I do all of this banana nonsense. Because I'll probably need to reference my phone. Alright, I'm going to pull my quote-unquote desk back towards me. And I think we're just about ready to do the thing. Oh, I just got a really important work email, so actually let me take care of that really quick. It looks like we'll be starting on regular time, but we can still chat while I do this. I got a work email that was like, please send this back immediately, so y'all know how it is. It's just one of those bureaucratic things where literally all I need to do is add a signature. Boy howdy, it's really one of those things with the lo-fi beats where they add rain sound effects and I immediately think, I'm like, is it actually raining? To take off my headphones to check. Alright, let me fill out this paperwork here. I'm really glad to hear that all of the sound stuff just works. I was kind of worried that just plugging everything in from my desktop to my laptop would not yield the results, because it so very rarely works out properly. How y'all doing today? Anybody working on anything, or y'all hanging out? It's chill either way. If anything, honestly, it should be a little bit quieter because this laptop doesn't really make much noise. It has really good cooling, and my regular computer is turned off, so... And I'm also further away from the windows. Hello. Prepping for some Posca drawings. Nice. It is very funny how this form came in like minutes before I was going to stream. It's like thrill as I do two-factor authentication live on my phone. As I sign official documentation. It'll be real. What is the date today? 0406 2021 against all odds. Okay, I filled out the form. Just getting ready to send it back. Thrill as I attach a PDF to an email. This is what you tuned in for, right? Okay, that is now officially taken care of. Thank you for waiting, everybody. Let's go ahead and have some fun doing some painting today. I guess it's okay that I'm 5 minutes late because I probably will be going extra long today since my back is not going to be in trouble. So I think we've got a pretty good frame going here. I need to push. Wait, can I zoom out at all? Let's see. Yes, I can. The power is mine. All right, so let's move this over. I think that's about as good as it's gonna go. Okay, cool. So I will happily, excuse me while I just shimmy here, I'll happily walk you through all of the stuff that I'm using. So primarily I'm using Winsor & Newton gouache with a couple of different brushes. I like to use these synthetic travel brushes for my gouache. They are from the Jack Richardson travel set, and they're a travel set, you can tell, because they're very short-handled, which means you can pack them up and take them anywhere. And they're great for field work. If you're out and about, like I'm hoping to be more this spring and summer, and actually going outside and painting, you know, flowers or fields or whatever, it's really easy to take with you on the go. But they're also great because you can palm them. You see, like when I paint with these, usually I sort of push the handle into my palm, and it gives you a great amount of control, especially if you're doing like straight lines or like very rigid shapes. They're great for that. But I also use these calligraphy brushes. And these are Nomura calligraphy brushes. They're writing brushes specifically, I think, instead of... because there's a few different types of brush, usually determined by what kind of hair they use. So these are set up as writing brushes, so they retain their shape, but they're also natural hair brushes, so they are very pliant, which is really nice. And I usually use those for fine details or spot work. I usually just end up using them for a lot of stuff in general. I've also got a watercolor or water-soluble pencil, which I'll be using to do my undersketch. I've got a couple of different pencils. I'll be using this one in case we have any drawing requests. It's a really nice dark lead pencil. And I've got another flat brush here. All right. I've also got over here my mixing surface, and this is palette paper, which is basically fancy wax paper, and it's really great for mixing on top of and really scrubbing down into without worrying about like you know, running through it. The only tricky thing about this setup I'm noticing now is because the computer is over here beside me, I'm having to like turn and look and see what everyone is saying. And I probably should have thought of that beforehand and set it up like over there somewhere. I don't really have anything I could put it on, but maybe I'll figure that out for next stream. But it's a pretty good setup so far. I mean, it's definitely 100% great for my bones. My back feels fantastic right now. So let's go through, speaking of looking at my phone here, I'm going to go through and find something fun to paint. I've got a bunch of stuff saved on my phone for reference, a bunch of photos that I've taken or that I found. A lot of the really nice ones that I've taken recently have been on evening walks going through town. The only downside being I usually take photographs, let's say discreetly, because I don't want to look like a weirdo who's taking, like I don't want anyone to think that I'm taking a photo of like their car or like them walking down the street or whatever. Oh, hey, the Universe Traveler, thank you so much for gifting those subs. Really appreciate that. And so a lot of those photographs, because I'm trying to pretend that like I'm just looking at my phone and not photographing the street and the sky and the clouds and stuff, I end up taking a lot of portrait style, so, you know, straight up and down. Whereas usually I would want something more panoramic, but holding your phone to the side's a dead giveaway. You're trying to take a landscape photograph. So usually what I have here, I have to adapt to the proper orientation. But I'm sure I can find something. If not here, I can always go to Picrepo, P-I-K-R-E-P-O, which is where I like to go to look for license-free photographs for painting and study. I think the last time we went there, we looked for mountains. Let's take a trip down memory lane here and see what the last few sketches we made in the sketchbook were. Because I know, like, last stream we did this springtime scene. So this was from one of the photographs that I had taken on an evening walk. And then this was just some flowers that... Where did I see those? I can't remember if I looked at the internet for this or one of mine, because I do have pictures of some of the crocuses that have popped up in the front yard. This was a repaint of an old, really old painting from when I first started painting. Of course, my sketchbook is falling apart because I've treated it so poorly. But, so we've done cities. This was Valheim. When I was taking screenshots of my Valheim house, my little Viking outpost, I painted one of those. But I was checking through because I don't think I've painted a beach in a while. This is the tree that's in my office. It's actually right over there. And then on the back of that, it looks like a sunset sky. Yeah, mountain and sunset over the sea. So no, like, specific beaches. So we could do, like, a beach panorama. I think that would look really nice. Let me just put this clip back on. Oh, there goes my tape. It's only a matter of time before something fell off. Have I ever been asked to create your representation of a mythical creature? How do you like to approach those types of concepts? I'm not usually tasked with doing conceptual creature work. Usually any time that I've done that has been of my own volition, and it's slow going, but I've never really been a character design guy. It's a very specific discipline. creating characters and creating creatures and things like that. And I think especially the last few years, I've much more been focused on background design, layout, things like that. But how would I approach it? Well, I think for a creature specifically, I would go for thinking about how the creature would interact with its environment. I think that would be the most important for me. And of course, I say that because I'm the background guy, but like, it's important, right? For any sort of creature or character, like how they interact with their environment tells you a lot latently about what kind of creature or person they are. And so you can infer a lot from that. You can get a lot of emotional response from that. And I feel like you can get a lot of scale from that, certainly. If you're doing one of those cool, like, rock golems, that's a whole mountain, you know, and it's walking through other mountains, but the scale of it dwarfs everything around it. That kind of thing can be really cool and really powerful. Or having a creature that's so small that, you know, it uses a flower as an umbrella, like that kind of thing. So I think that is how I would approach it initially, at least. Yes, sketch prompt. We should absolutely. I've got a few cards set aside here for sketches because I thought maybe that would come up. So now I will go over to Twitch. Oh, hello, Raiders. How you doing? Hope you're well. We're just about to get rolling here. Before I start on the painting, I'm going to do a little sketch. As soon as my computer does the darn thing. Oh, this is set up all weird on my other computer for some reason. Where'd my sketch prompts go? I don't think they're here. I've got to, like, set them up again. Doot, doot, doot. Oh me, oh my. Channel points reward queue. Yes, add it back. I think it's because I added a new panel to my setup lately. Okay, I've got it. It is up now. Hoja's baby, Tetsukabra. Okay, Tetsukabra. I do love the Tetsu. Specifically the one that Hojo has, because it looks so sweet. Sweet and kind. I'm trying to find like a clean screenshot of it from the game. But everyone wants to put fancy text over all their screenshots. Ah, here we go. This one seems pretty good. Yes, yes. Okay. You mentioned character design being its own sort of discipline you're outside of. Working as a professional artist, do you feel like there's any other disciplines which are outside your area of comfort? What do you do if you find work in an area you're not used to working in? This is a very common thing, I feel like, especially in the art fields, where usually artists are trying to get work, you know? You're trying to like get whatever work you can, so you apply broadly. And I think a lot of artists get into the situation where they do the work and they're like, I don't like this. Like, maybe I don't like being a professional artist. And then eventually, you know, you realize that artist is such a broad term. Like, it's ridiculously broad, and it's too broad a term to apply to yourself as a person, because like it's being unfair to yourself, because no artist knows how to do every single thing, which is why, you know, there are so many different things in production. There's character design, world design, layout, all that kind of stuff. That being said, you take gigs when you can, and I've definitely found myself in situations where I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I feel ill-equipped. However, at least in good companies, they understand that. Especially if you've gone through like, because they expect a lot of people to come out of like general art education. They don't expect you to come into the field specialized immediately. The most important thing I would say to do is, if you find yourself in one of those departments where you're just like, I think I could get a grasp on this if I had some help, there's nothing wrong with asking for support from your like immediate supervisor or other people in your department, because I'm sure, at least as has been the case with me, for the most part, every place is different. There's no broad, you know, advice that's perfect for every company, but for the most part, they want to foster you to feel creative in that environment, and they want to foster you to do the best work that you possibly can. And because of that, they will give you the resources you need to excel, as long as you are willing to ask for the support and to open yourself up to realizing that your skill base needs expanding or needs, you know, additional information and things like that. I feel like there's this tendency to feel like ashamed, especially if you've worked for a long time on art. You can feel like, well, I'm a professional artist. Like, I've made it. I'm collecting checks being a professional artist, so I shouldn't need to lean on anyone to do my job. But that's not how it works. Like, no one knows how to do everything, and every gig is different. And even within the same job title, your expectations, like things that are expected of you, are going to be different from gig to gig and studio to studio. And so I think it's really important to like interface with the people around you and, you know, look for that support, because it's vital to stay afloat and not like have a really bad burnout. Or especially look, if you want to learn from a bad example, I've definitely had times where I would take that on myself, and I would be like, I'm supposed to know this, so I'm going to like boot camp myself into learning something I have no idea how to learn. And it just burns you out. Like, it makes you feel terrible. It makes you feel like you don't understand or can't understand how to adapt to the situation. But departments are built in a way to, you know, allow people to work together, and everyone just wants the product to get made at the end of the day. So that's what it's all about. And now how about I draw a picture for the first time in my life? Let's go ahead and actually put this pencil to the page. I'm going to try to get this reference on screen at the same time as being able to see the chat and also see my own camera view. I definitely am realizing how important having a second screen is when doing streaming at this moment. All right, you can more or less see what I'm drawing here. Hey, hello Harukio. Thank you for 6 months, half a year. It's extremely exciting. There's a little friend. All right, let's get painting. Ooh, I like this one. This laptop that I'm using for streaming is... I'm trying to think how old it is now. It's at least 4 years old at this point. It is an Asus something or other. It's a gaming laptop specifically. And it has an i7 and a GeForce GTX 980M in it, which is like a pretty old graphics card now, but for a laptop, it's pretty good. So it can handle quite a bit. And on the back, like the exhaust on this thing, it looks like a car. Like, it's ridiculous. Oh, wow, we're only 10 away from our art giveaway, by the way. 10 subs away. That's bonkers. I just noticed. Yeah, we're doing a stream from bed today, which is super fun. And also very good for my back. Ooh, an FF14 NPC. I'm down with that. Yes, please. Okay, so I'm going to move very gently some of this stuff over, just so that I can get a little bit more in frame here as we go for it. So I'm going to sketch out some very rough shapes. We're going to go with a high horizon line on this picture. And just like when we did our last sketch, we're not going to bother too much with this page, but this page will be the main focus of the image. And then I can spill over onto this one if I need a little bit of extra room. The problem you always run into if you're working at an extreme angle like I am, I'm looking, down this way at my page. Since it's not tilted up like this, the perspective or the scale of it might get skewed. So I'm looking over at the overhead camera feed that I'm getting here, so I can get a better sense of the shapes that I'm putting in, because it's a bit of an optical illusion. What I want to do is map out the dark areas very roughly, just so I have a loose idea of where I want to put in the darker values. And I don't need to be strict here, but it will help me later on when I'm actually working on the finer details of the image. Yeah, I'm currently laying on my side. I was gonna do it just laying face forward, but I found it a little bit hard to talk and also lay that way. So I found a good compromise. Okay, so I have to focus out these shapes here. This is kind of the most important part of the mixture. thank you so much for all the follows today. It looks like we are trucking along. We're almost at 10% of our way through the April follower goal, which is really exciting. Ooh, Triforce Vigor, thank you so much for 3 months. Okay, I think this is a pretty good map of what we need. So I'm going to keep my reference open. I'm going to get a couple of colors figured out here. Primarily, we're doing a beachscape, so we need a little bit of blue. I'm going to go with an aqua, some turquoise. Just a tap of that. Mostly I'm going to be going with primary blue. I'm going to get a little bit of zinc white out for the thicker parts of the waves. And also some primary white for mixing. We're almost out of the permanent white, rather. Not white's not a primary color. I'm running low on the permanent white. I actually need to restock that. But once the sub money comes through mid-month, I'm going to be making a nice gouache order. I'm very excited about. I've been earmarking all the colors that I need as I go. Here we go, primary blue. Of course, it's water, so I'm going to want a little bit of that ultramarine. But I want to make it sort of a heightened reality, so I'm not going to go too heavy on ultramarine because it's a little bit duller than what I want to present in the image. Now, I need a good offset because I've got all these blues. I've got white on the palette. I need a good offset for that, especially for the sea rocks. So I want to go with some burnt umber, which, as you might know, if you mix with the ultramarine, it gives you a great dark value. But I also want to liven it up a little bit with some warmer colors. So I'm going to go with yellow. And a little bit of primary red. And they don't necessarily, like, it's not like they're presenting strongly in the image. But there's just something in my intuition that says, put a little bit of opera. Like, dab a little bit of that pink in there. Just makes things more interesting, you know? And maybe even just a tap of Orange Lake Deep, which I think is one of my oldest paint tubes at this point. I don't use a lot of Orange Lake Deep, so it's going very slowly. All right, which means now we can actually get in there and start mixing it up a bit. Well, the first thing I want to do is establish the sky. I want the sky to be really light. So it's going to be mostly white. And just a little bit of turquoise. Just a very light, loose mixture. Now, anywhere I add a color in the sky when I'm doing a seascape, I also want it to be reflected in the water, because water's pretty reflective. So down here, just going to add in that same color, but with a little tap of the pink. Okay, so that takes care of the sky, and then this little bit of sort of shadowed area in the, it's kind of the shallows of the water. A lot of this area is the surf going out and then the waves crashing in. So around those waves, this is where the waves are crashing against the rocks. I want to have a kind of chaotic mixture between the two. So I'm going to take this brown and this blue and mix up a light version of it. Just trying to get some of those facets of the rocks. Now, rocks are pretty complex little friends, and light likes to bounce off them hither and yon. But you don't have to do every little bit. I just want to get some color variation in there so it feels like there's some refraction happening. So basically what we're doing right now is we're painting the light spots on the rocks. And we'll be adding in some lighter stuff later, opaquely. But I want to fill in those areas of light so that we have ourselves a road map. I'm trying to go between warm and cool in here. I've been kind of using a purple base for some of these rock overtones, but I want to go over it now with a green yellow, captures some of the warmth of the sun as it shines down on these rocks. And of course, these will just be peeking through the little highlights that we put in later on, because we're going to be sort of drawing highlights around these areas because they're surrounded in a pretty deep shadow. Be fluffing up some of these low lights and shadows and things a little bit because I don't want them quite as dark as they are in the reference image, but for the most part. Okay, so now we should be good to lay in the dark area of waves, the stuff that's out to sea. So I'll go back to my big brush. I need to clean the palette a little bit. Okay, I need to get some paper towel, which thankfully I have right here. Now, if I was being a hardcore bad butt about this image, and I really wanted those crashing waves to pop, I think what I would want to do is mask them out. Use some masking fluid, but I'm in bed, and I can't be bothered, so I'm going to paint around them a little bit. But I can also use some water and like a damp brush and then a dry brush to kind of erase away some of those spots as well. So I'm going to go in with my dark blue and also my light blue. Now I'll get my reference back. Okay. Okay, so I have my horizon line set now, which means I can take my clean, damp brush. I'm going to have to go in with my paper towel. And we can do a little bit of subtracting here. So go in with the damp brush and then clean it off. We're just seeking to make little channels in the paint where we can erase. Now, generally, you need pretty sturdy paper for this, because you don't just want to go into like a thin paper, because it will tear. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to my calligraphy brush for most of the rest of this sketch. How long do I plan to go? I think I could probably go for three hours total, so a couple more hours. So I'm still feeling quite good. Hey TL, how's it going? Well, I'm very glad you could be here with us today. I hope things indeed do look up. I'm taking a little bit of this seafoam spray that I've got going on over here. This sort of shadow color. And I'm working it into the rocks a little. Not too much, but generally if I'm using a color, I like to see where else I can put it in the picture. I can definitely also use this color for the shadows on the waves. And now to bump the value up significantly on the rocks, put the shadows in. Grab some indigo to do that. Extra dark, but not too dark. Well, thank you, Anonymous, for that gift sub. I hope you're not being rowdy, chat. I'm not looking at you as much today. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Just keep it PG. Right, I think that one is donezo. Which actually works out pretty well because it looks like we're about just a little over halfway done the stream today. This is so nice. I finished a whole painting and my back still feels great. Now I need to close a lot of tabs that I have open. Now I do need to wait for this page to dry. Is the last page... I think the next page is the last page of the sketchbook. We might be finishing the sketchbook today. If anyone has a sketch request, this would be a great time to ask for it, because I do need to wait for this to dry. It shouldn't take too long, but I do need for it to dry before I turn the page. Do I like takoyaki? Sadly, I am allergic to most things in the sea, so I cannot have it. But if there's any good vegan takoyaki recipes, I'd love to hear them. I know that there are alternative fillings. You don't have to use octopus. I guess it wouldn't be takoyaki in that case. It would be different types of yaki. But... Pikachu dunking a basketball. Okay. I'm game for that. Move my sketchbook to the side here. I want to do a vertical for this one. Now, does anyone know what a basketball looks like? Yeah, basketball hoops look like fish scales. That's the new canon for basketball hoops. That's the new meta. So don't worry about it. Also, I'm going to be drawing classic or chubby Pikachu. I hope that's okay. It really is tricky to draw at an angle. I gotta like prop myself up to see properly. Wait, I went the wrong way. There we go. Oh yeah, when is that Pokemon Snap coming out? That's the end of this month? That is extremely cool. I'm very hyped for that game. I loved the original quite a bit. And I was always surprised when there wasn't more in that series. I love a lot of the ancillary parts of Pokemon. I'm not a huge fan of the battling, but I love the concept of everything else. Big fan of Pokemon just hanging out. Well, there he is, the sports champion, Pikachu. Getting those big leaps. Sick verticals. I was always surprised. I remember when the original DS came out and there was the Nintendogs game. I was always shocked that they didn't come out with a Nintendogs variant for Pokemon. Like, it seems like such a no-brainer. Like, with that level of depth where you're giving them treats and, like, petting them and all that kind of stuff. Let's see how dry the sketchbook is. I think it's pretty much, yeah, it's pretty much good now. So let's move that page. Move that bus. Yeah, this is totally the last page in the sketchbook. And this final page is kind of like regular paper. It's not very... Like, I don't think you could really paint on that reliably. I might draw something on it, but... I would like to at least paint a little something. It's hard to get a clamp on the final page because it's so... There's so much content in this sketchbook. All right. Okay, I'm gonna go back to Picrepo and try and find something else. Something good to finish a sketchbook with. I mean, Sunset's always a classic. Ooh, we should all remember also to stay hydrated. I've got my huge thermos here. Yeah, maybe one more sunset for the road. You can never go wrong, really, with a good sunset. And it does feel like a nice way to say goodbye to a sketchbook. Okay. Bold colors, strong colors. I've got my yellow, orange, red already on the palette, as well as some of my darker colors. So I think we're pretty much good to go. I'm just going to do a basic sketch kind of layout where I want some of these things to go. Okay, we've got several planes heading back into the background here. Oh, hello, Mud Ninja. Yes, I have used acrylics. I started with acrylic paints way back when I first started painting a few years ago, and they're still great. I would probably honestly use them a little bit more. If not for the slightly more labored cleanup. I like pure water-based stuff just because it's so quick to clean up afterwards. Yes, regrettably we do have some of those finger paints left. Maybe someday we'll get back to those. Alright, let's give these a quick clean and make this sunset. Now, as you know, one of the key components for a good sunset here is to make sure that there's plenty of water on the page, and then quickly go through with some sort of big washes. So I'm going to set down my reference and slightly pick up my sketchbook so it's at a tilted angle so that gravity kind of pulls the water down as I go. It just helps the paint to mix together a little bit better. Now I need a little bit more white. I'm going to use this small zinc. Because I want these to be pretty opaque. And then we'll start from the lightest color and we'll work our way out. So right there where the sun is, just draw around that. Let's switch over to the calligraphy brush now.
I suppose it did sound funny. I used to lie out on the beach, close my eyes, may there be a pretty girl lying on the sand next to me.
I think that's just about as far as I can take that one without overworking it. You never want to overwork it. But I really like how it turned out. It's a very fitting end to the end of a sketchbook. It feels like I should sign the sketchbook off. Now, of course, the beautiful thing about having these sketchbooks is whenever we hit some of those goals, the sub-goals and the follower goals, I'll be diving back into the sketchbooks and giving away pages from them so folks can actually take home a little bit of these fun things we've made together. So down here I'll just write, until next time. And I should also put a date on this. So this is the 6th of April. And I do already have the next sketchbook lined up. It is ready and waiting to have some more art put in it, which we will be starting. So we're actually, this week is a cool week for sketchbooks because we're ending today. On Thursday, we're going to be doing Copic Thursdays, which is our fun, chaotic Copic art stream. But then on Saturday, we're going to be doing sketching again with gouache, and that means we're going to be starting the new sketchbook on Saturday, which is super exciting. So I'm very excited about that. I was planning on going even longer today. I mean, as I said, I am currently comfortably reclined. My back feels great. I could go further, but this feels like a good ending point, you know? Sometimes you gotta notice the ending point. You gotta take the exit where it feels right. So I think for today, we'll stop here. We'll come back Thursday and do it all over again. So for those who don't know, because I see there's quite a few new folks here with us today, on Copic Thursdays, you get to decide what markers I color with. So we'll be doing some community voting, and I have to just use whatever colors you pick, and then we'll draw some fun illustrations. So if that sounds like fun, be sure to come back, follow if you haven't followed. Please subscribe if you would like to support my art supply journey here. We're 9 away now from somebody getting some free art, so be on the lookout for that, and I will see you on Thursday.